So the Chiefs did the unexpected, franchise tagging offensive lineman Trey Smith to the surprise of basically everyone. Well, in today's video, I'm going to give some optimism as to why they did this and what to expect for the rest of the offseason as far as their plans are concerned. Then a key player confirmed his return for the 2025 season, which is great news. So I've got to talk about all that and more. But first, how about those? All right, first up, I'm going to take a bit of a deep dive down the rabbit hole regarding Trey Smith getting franchise tagged here very soon, and hopefully this gives you some optimism about why this is happening, even though it is pretty surprising. I saw a lot of Chiefs fans reacting online to this news like, whoa, what are they doing? We need a left tackle, not a right guard, at least in comparison to the priority list when you consider how Mahomes fares when he has at least serviceable left tackle play. So I kind of am going to try to paint a picture here and give you some optimism as to why they most likely did this. Now, on my live stream yesterday when it was announced that Trey Smith was going to get tagged, I was actually mistaken. I said KC wouldn't be able to actually franchise tag Trey Smith yet because they only have $7 million in cap space. Meanwhile, the franchise tag is going to be about $24 million, and they needed to free up cap space in order to do that. Actually, this is the correction I need to make. The team can be over the cap right now. They just need to make sure they are under the cap by the start of the new league year. So yes, the franchise tag per Aaron Wilson has officially been placed on Trey Smith as of around 4:30 p.m. this evening, Friday, February 28th. Anyway, from here, let's get into the surprising move that the Chiefs made regarding this tag. Even beat reporters like Nate Taylor of The Athletic and Matt Derrick of Chiefs Digest were pretty surprised when the announcement was made. I recently shared my doubts as well on the Chiefs franchise tagging Trey Smith because I thought they would instead let him potentially walk into free agency, where he would become the highest paid guard in the NFL like he deserves, but that would mean KC would be focused on a left tackle and getting one for Patrick Mahomes. The problem is finding a quality starter left tackle in free agency and then being able to pay them to a long-term deal is definitely easier said than done. Most guys that walk into free agency are 30 years old or even older, and that's when the average performance decline naturally starts taking place, or they are maybe even also coming off of an injury. Teams don't let franchise left tackles just walk to sign with any team available. They'll most likely franchise tag them and then aim to get a long-term deal done. So the Chiefs would then either need to trade for a guy like they did with Orlando Brown Jr. years back, and we know that didn't even work out long-term, and they gave up multiple draft picks to go and get him, or you have to draft a guy early or get blessed enough to be able to develop one over time that's not able to be taken early in round 1. Kingsley Suamataia, end of round 2. They took him last year. I still wouldn't completely rule him out as a left tackle candidate for the Chiefs eventually, but they cannot, and for very good reason, will not go into training camp with Kingsley Suamataia being the potential hopeful tackle. Before I get to the next segment, did you guys know that I have an NFL-wide news channel covering all things NFL outside of the Kansas City Chiefs? It's called Cole Breaks the Huddle, and I do a very poor job of letting you guys know that I run a second channel where we drop multiple videos a week covering big picture NFL news. So if you enjoy my style of content with the editing, the pacing, and all that, but want to hear it from an NFL-wide perspective, this is the channel for you. Link is in the description down below. With them tagging Trey Smith, this kind of tells you they aren't going to make a big swing, at least in theory, at the left tackle spot in free agency, unless they are planning on tagging Trey Smith to trade him away, like they did with Snead last year. You get draft picks, you free up the cap space as well. But as you'll see here in a moment, that definitely does not seem to be the plan or the direction they are going per multiple reports. But at this point, at least for the left tackle spot, unless Brett Veach is going to go ballistic with the O-line like he did after Super Bowl 55 and losing to the Bucs, I imagine they try to sign a veteran to a 1 to 2 year deal, maybe DJ Humphries. I really wouldn't mind that. He would have a full offseason to train, get healthy with the hamstring, another year removed from the ACL tear, all that good stuff. But he wouldn't be the only answer here. You would then probably need to try to get another potential left tackle in the draft. If Josh Simmons falls far enough, get that man, boom, there's your left tackle, let's freaking go. But there's also Josh Connerly Jr. and Ariante Ursary that could eventually be the left tackle for the team if the coaching staff is A, high enough on one of them to draft them in the first place, and B, be able to develop them. I haven't seen a ton of development, at least from a tackle standpoint, from Andy Heck, the Chiefs O-line coach, to be honest, but I do hope things do not remain that way and the trend changes. With these thoughts in mind, potentially another bridge left tackle via a veteran and drafting another tackle in this year's draft, KC is making it clear they are prioritizing to keep their interior line together and elite. We saw what happens when the interior line struggles. We'll get to the Super Bowl in a second, but look at CJ Stroud, for example, with the Texans. Their interior dealt with injuries and really struggled. As a result, he had a pretty bad decline his sophomore year. He was the second most sacked quarterback in the NFL. And then don't forget the guy got sacked 8 times in the divisional round of the playoffs at Arrowhead. The masses blamed the refs, of course, but it was definitely their special teams soiling their joggers on national television and their offensive line that lost them the game. We then saw the issue pop up for KC in the Super Bowl with the offensive line. There was no huge surprise taking place here when the Eagles did all they could to take away the quick passing game, trying to remove Mahomes' first option. With Joe Thuney forced to kick out to left tackle, the quick passing game was the answer to that because Thuney is an elite left guard, but his left tackle play is slightly above average at times, to average even. Well, that then left Mike Caliendo in there at left guard, so you went from an elite left guard to a average to below average left guard at times, and that weakness was clearly on display, and Thuney on the outside also caused the run game to suffer. So the plan is obviously to move Thuney back in to left guard. That was confirmed by Andy Reid this week at the Combine, and then getting a deal done with Trey Smith keeps that interior trio together for at least the foreseeable future. Here's why I'm saying that. The plan with Trey Smith seems to be to tag him and to sign him to a 4 or so year deal with an average of $23 million per year, just like they did with Creed Humphrey, resetting the center market. It looks like they are about to reset the guard market with Trey Smith. $23 million per year, a number I've heard from multiple different people now. That's $2 million more than the current highest paid guard in Landon Dickerson. And I know what some of you are thinking, that is insane to pay a right guard that much money when Creed is already making $18 million a year. Jawan Taylor's on a $20 million per year deal. Joe Thuney's cap hit is $26 or so million, and he's on the last year of his $16 million deal. Then of course they don't even have a freaking left tackle. Well, Brett Veach and his team are always looking ahead, probably 2 to 3 years out from a salary cap managed standpoint. So hear me out for a moment here. Jawan Taylor, he's going to be gone after this season. That's when you can move on from his contract with very little repercussions. I see many comments even this week on multiple videos. Get rid of Jawan Taylor. You can't do it, guys. I'm sorry. We're stuck with Jawan Taylor for 1 more year. But next year they can move on from him and most likely will. Then regarding Joe Thuney, his time playing is nearing the end. I mean, he's 33 years old. Even if the Chiefs extend him for a couple years to lower this year's cap hit, he could very well be gone after, let's say, the 2026 season. That means by then, the only players on large contracts, at least from what we will know, is Trey Smith and Creed Humphrey. Right tackle could be a guy still on their rookie deal, like Wanya Morris, or maybe somebody they draft in the next year or two, as will in theory the left guard be, somebody on their rookie contract. Trey Smith's cap hit then won't even start reaching its peak and being large enough to be concerned for a couple of years when Thuney and Taylor are both most likely gone. That's why they want to get a deal done with Trey Smith. Thinking ahead, he's only 26 years old and one of the top guards in the league. He's also a great run blocker, and if they do get a running back in this year's draft, like I do think and hope they will, he's only going to help because you have to help Patrick Mahomes out. You can get pass catchers, yes, but let's get this run game going as well. Now, regarding Trey Smith and his performance last season, it wasn't his best year, but I truly think Jawan Taylor affected that more than we know with his quick step and also his deep drop back in pass protection. So now that we know the goal is to keep Trey Smith in KC for years to come, and we're not really worried about his performance last season, how the heck are they going to afford tagging him? Well, the salary cap did go up this year to $279.2 million, which before the franchise tag that came in near the end of this video had the Chiefs around $7 million in available cap space, but now they are $16 million over. But again, they just need to be cap compliant by the start of the new league year on March 12th. And per Spot Track and really anybody else that understands contracts at a way higher level, there's several moves KC could do pretty easily to free up a bunch of cap space if the Chiefs wanted. They could convert Patrick Mahomes' roster bonus to a signing bonus and create $25.8 million in cap space there. You could also convert Chris Jones's roster bonus to a signing bonus for another $12 million. You could do something similar with Travis Kelce to create $10 additional million. The only thing is you would have to maybe have some void years there because he's on the last year of his deal, and Clark Hunt doesn't really love to do that, so we shall see. But then you could also extend Joe Thuney, as I mentioned a little bit ago, and the suggestion here is a 2-year, $40 million deal with a $20 million signing bonus, and that could free up another $10 million in cap space. So almost at the flick of the wrist, no, snap of the finger, what am I saying? That's an additional $57 million created by doing those moves if you wanted to. Now, will the Chiefs actually do all of this? Probably not. They are rather conservative at times, to the frustration of many fans. But I share that to say it's certainly possible to have room for Trey Smith on the tag while a long-term deal is hopefully finalized ASAP, but that would also give them enough additional cap space to make other moves. Bringing back Hollywood Brown would be nice for starters. Well, in a perfect world, they don't have to pull the lever on all those contracts, maybe only a couple of them, or if they do multiple of those, you're only doing partial pulls. They then get Trey Smith signed near the start of free agency frenzy around March 10th, and that would remove the $23.4 million cap hit, making it probably closer to $7-ish million. Well, that's much better and seems like what should probably happen. Matt Derrick himself said the tag, franchise tagging Trey Smith, is very indicative of how close the Chiefs and Trey Smith are to a long-term deal. So with all that being said, let me know your thoughts on the Trey Smith franchise tag situation and how you feel about it. Do you think a long-term deal does indeed get done here very soon? Or do you think they could go against the grain of these reports and actually trade him away for draft capital, you free up cap space, and then make some other moves, maybe via a left tackle? I don't know. Let me know your thoughts either way in the comments down below. All right, real quick, I want to shout out a couple ways you can support the channel. You can get some HBTC coffee of Benchwarmer Brew. This has got origin notes of Mexico and Ethiopia, a smooth medium roast, and it is one of the most popular blends of the lineup. Then you can also snag some HBTC merch. We've got Dad Bod Season, X Factor in honor of Dante Hall, mixed with Xavier Worthy, of course, and much more. Links to both the coffee and merch are in the description down below. The next question from here is, though, what then becomes of arguably the next couple of biggest pending free agents? You got linebacker Nick Bolton and safety Justin Reid on the defensive side of the ball. Let's start with Bolton. Maybe he gets offered top 5 linebacker money by some team and does end up elsewhere. The Chiefs could match it. It's just a struggle here. He's very important, but you just have so many needs along the roster. It's tough to really know if they go that route, or they still have Drew Tranquill under contract, and he has filled in for Bolton at the middle linebacker spot pretty effectively for roughly half a season when Nick Bolton injured his wrist. So Tranquill is an option for sure. Brett Veach also said this is a defensive-heavy draft and mentioned the linebacker class specifically, as well as D-line and even some cornerbacks. So between Drew Tranquill, Leo Chanel, who should take a step up, maybe a return of a cheap guy like Willie Gay Jr., and the draft, Nick Bolton may find himself elsewhere. I would love to see him return, don't get me wrong, and it'll certainly be a tough decision to make. And then for Justin Reid, he's a tough decision too. Maybe the team is high enough on Jaden Hicks, Brian Cook, and Shamari Connor, who should get out of the slot, and you go get somebody else to fill his role there, please, for the love of God. But maybe you're high enough on that trio of safeties to make things work without having to bring back Justin Reid. But I think, like Bolton, Reid is very valuable to this team, so it's definitely big shoes to fill, not an easy task. But I did love the splashes that I saw from Jaden Hicks and honestly wondered if he would be the future of the team back there once he was drafted, considering Justin Reid was on the last year of his current deal. And while I'm not sure about the return of Nick Bolton or Justin Reid, you guys got to let me know your thoughts in the comments. Somebody I am sure is returning as tight end Travis Kelce. Pat McAfee actually broke the news himself on his show yesterday via a text message to him from Travis Kelce himself. Here's what Kelce had to say when McAfee texted him and asked him something along the lines of, "Hey, are you returning next year, or what's good?" Travis Kelce said this, quote, "My dog, I'm coming back for sure. Gonna try to get into the best shape I've been this offseason and get back to the mountaintop. Got a real bad taste in my mouth with how I played in that last game and how I got the guys ready for battle. I can't go out like that." So that sounds pretty official for Travis Kelce to return for year 13. I also want to note a small side note here. Brett Veach spoke in a presser earlier this week, or an interview. It wasn't a public presser, but he actually said that Kelce was dealing with some sort of a serious or pretty significant illness leading up to the Super Bowl. He made it clear that's not an excuse or anything like that, and Kelce has never even brought it up. Of course, the comments flooded and said, excuses. Dude, I don't think that a 100% healthy Travis Kelce was going to help change a 40-6 deficit in Super Bowl 59. but it was interesting to note that he was potentially battling illness, and that's why you saw him kind of slacken in the second half. Maybe he was just absolutely gassed. I have no idea, but either way, Travis Kelce is returning. Mahomes himself was gassed up about it. He shared a GIF from The Last Dance on his Twitter account, and then the Chiefs themselves posted a photo of Kelce that simply said year 13. So let's freaking go. How can you not love the return of Travis Kelce to at least give it one last try and play out the final year of his contract? It is a hefty cap hit of nearly $20 million, but still, he's worth every penny due to years of him producing like a top wide receiver in the league, yet getting paid way less because obviously he's technically a tight end. We will see if they keep that cap hit or push some of it down the road via some void years or not, which again, isn't something they typically like to do, but regardless, Kelce is back for one more season. I love it. Just build up enough pieces, pass catchers around him so that he doesn't always have to be the guy. I mean, he played over 80% of snaps last year, the most he has played in many years, and that should not continue for this go-round. He's going to be 36 years old, and you have to take some of the pressure off of him. VIDS said they would like to bring back Hollywood Brown, so the trio of Hollywood Brown, Xavier Worthy, and Rashee Rice, once he's back from suspension, is going to help give Mahomes some solid targets for sure. Then maybe in the tight end room, you got Noah Gray stepping up. Jared Wiley, the rookie from this past year, he's going to be back after tearing his ACL midway through the season at practice. And as long as the offensive line is in a solid place and another running back is added, please, for the love of God, I like the Chiefs' odds of making yet another deep playoff run next year. With all that being said, though, make sure to let me know your thoughts on the Chiefs' plan so far before free agency frenzy hits very soon, starting around March 10th to the 12th. There's the tampering period. And until next time, let's go. Let's freaking go. How about those?